Okay, so our new topic is decimal numbers. So let's remember what are decimal numbers, how can we work with them, and some basic concepts about them, okay? So, what are decimal numbers? So first thing I want you to think of is to be clear what is the difference between these two numbers. Let's write them here, 123.456 and 123, 456. So many times we get confused if we should express the decimal number with a period or with a comma. In some countries, they express the decimals with periods. In some other countries, they express the decimals with commas. But for these exams, that are all of them based on English and American English math, so I need you to remember that this guy is the decimal point, okay? So this first number is a decimal. This guy, it is an integer, okay? Whenever you see commas, we're not talking about decimals, we're talking about integers. And the comma stands for thousands, okay? That's like the punctuation that you will see whenever you want to indicate 1,000. So the first number, the one on the left, is 123.456, like 456 will be the decimal part of the number, whereas the number on the right, I will read it as 123,456, okay? First thing that I need you to be very clear on. Let me now rewrite the number. Another thing that I find that is important for you to be clear on decimals is this one. Let's give a little more space so we can see it more clearly. So 1, 2, 3, this is a point. Remember that because it's a point, we know that it's a decimal. 4, 5, 6. Now, this decimal number has a total of 6 digits. Okay, 6 digits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This part here, the digits that you have here, is what you call the whole part, the whole component of the number. And this part right here is what you call the decimal component of the number. Okay? Now, the important thing here is, well, yeah, there are 6 digits, but there will be several exercises where we just need to know how do you name each digit, okay, according to the position. So I'm saying these three, the one that is right to the left of the decimal point, this is what you call the units digit, okay? Eventually, sometimes you might see the ones. Now, the most common one that you will see in these exams is that this position is called the units digit, all right? The number 2, that is the second to the left from the decimal point. In mathematics, this is what you call the tens digit, okay? The tens digit. This third one, because of the position, like it's the third position to the left of the decimal point, this thing is what you call the hundredths digit. Okay, the hundredths digit. Now let's pay attention and let's see how do you call or how the digits on the decimal part are named. So the first digit to the right, that in this case will be the 4, this is what you call the, pay attention, the tenths digit. Check out the difference. If it is on the whole component, is tenths. On the decimal component, the first one is the tenths. Check out that there is no such thing as the units, okay? It's the units, the hundredths, tenths, units, decimal point, tenths, okay? And we continue in that order. The second one to the right, this is what you will call the hundredths unit. And then again, hundredths. So check out that basically anything that goes with the th, you know automatically that we're talking about the decimal component, okay? The 6 right here, this is what you will be calling the thousands digit, okay? With the th. So just keep those in mind, remember them. Why is this important? You might have exercises where they just say if the tenths digit is 3 times the hundredths digit, so you just need to know exactly what digit are you talking about, which is the position of the digit that they are referring to. Always something useful, all right? These are the generalities of decimal numbers, nothing super crazy. Now, Let's talk about the basic operations with decimal numbers. And you know that we're talking about the basic operations, I'm talking about addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So just for us to remember, let's go with addition. So addition of decimal numbers is just as adding integers or any other number. The only thing that I want you to pay attention to, okay, as an asterisk here, the only thing that I find that is important for you to remember is to align the decimal points, okay? So like if you put one on top of the other ones, kind of in a column, when you organize that column, be certain that the decimal point is on the one number is right on top or below the decimal point of the second number, okay? Let's just do this through an example. Any decimal numbers, let's think of a decimal number that we might find interesting. I don't know, anything. Let's say this is 300, 447, decimal point will be here, 0.65. And we want to add this number to 58 points, such that I'm analyzing already that the hundreds digit is on the hundreds, these are the tens are aligned, the units digit are aligned, the decimal point will be aligned, the tenths digit will be aligned, let's say that this will be 1 and 5. So this is what you do. So the tenth digit on top of the 10 digits, the hundredths digit below the hundredth digit, so everything aligned. This is what I'm referring to be aligned. Not only the decimal points, but all the digits. And if I want to add these two numbers, just as any normal addition. Now, be certain that if we have any like a space here, you can always fill that space with a 0, okay? So 0.15 is exactly the same thing as saying 0.150, okay? There will be no change. And once you do that, compañeros, it's just a matter for us to start adding. So 5 plus 0 is 5, 6 plus 11 plus 6 plus 5 is 11, and I have 1 here. This will be 2. Let's say point plus point is point. This will be 7 plus 8 is 15. I have 1 here. This will be 5 plus 5 will be 0. And I have 1 here. And this will be 4. So this will be the result of my addition. Okay? The next basic operation here will be subtraction. And it works exactly the same, compañeros. Okay? Let's give it the example, and we can use actually these same two numbers. And we talk about subtraction. And it's the same principle. Alignment, okay? You know that when I say alignment is the units digit with the units digit on the same column, the tens with the tens, the period with the period, the tenths with the tenths. That's what we need to align. So if we take these same two numbers, the ones that with which we did we performed the addition, let's use them to perform the subtraction. So that will be 347.065. The other number I will align it, so is 58. So I only have tens and units. So below the tens and below the units, the point below the point. 15. We will do exactly the same. Now we want to subtract. Whenever we have this space, remember that we can fill it in with a 0 and nothing changes. 58.15 is the same thing as having 58.150. It's exactly the same. And we start subtracting. So we have 5 minus 0 is 5. 6 minus 5 is 1. 0 minus 1, remember how you do that. You cannot perform. So it's like if this guy was a 10, minus 1 is 9. Now this guy is not a 7 anymore. It will be a 6. So we have a 6. So we'll end up having 16, right? This kind of a 6. Now we need to have 16 minus 8 will be 8. Because this 4 like somehow lent a 1 to the 6, so now this becomes a 3. We cannot perform 3 minus 5, so we have 13, and this guy becomes a 2. So 13 minus 5 is normally 8, and here 2 minus nothing is going to be still 2. So this will be your answer of performing the subtraction, okay? Again, this is just a quick review, just to clarify some terms. remember how you subtract and how you add. Okay, I'm just telling you one specific tip on how to do these basic operations with decimals. Okay, but if you feel that you want or you need to revise more how to add or how to subtract, please do that review. Now we have other two basic operations, right? We still have multiplication and division. So let's talk about the multiplication now. Multiplication. Okay, let's go with multiplication. What is the important aspect here? What I need you to pay attention to, the asterisk here, is again the number of decimals, okay? Number of decimal digits. Let's put it like that, decimal digits. The number of decimal digits in my answer must equal to the total, right here it says total, to the total number of decimal digits, the total number of decimals that I find, so found in the numbers, okay? So the number of decimal digits in my answer, my final answer, is equal to the total number of decimals found in the numbers, between the two numbers. So this is what I'm saying. Let's do a quick multiplication now. Beyond that, everything is exactly the same as multiplying integers, okay? So let's come up with two fairly quickly numbers, okay? Let's say that I want to multiply 7.53 and I want to multiply this number by, again, here I don't really care about the alignment. So I'm gonna multiply this guy only by 5.2, all right? We need to perform a multiplication. So let's do it step by step. And at this point, what I want you to do is like forget about the decimal point, okay? We will retake or we will pay attention to the decimal point at the very end. So let's multiply these two numbers. So 2 times 3, it will be 6. 2 times 5 will be 10. And I move 1 here. 2 times 7 is 14 and 1 is 15, right? Now the 5. 5 times 3 is 15. I put it right here on the next. Remember that it moves like one position to the left. So 5 times 3 is 15. I have 1. 5 times 5 is 25. Plus 1 will be 26. So now I have here a 2. 5 times 7 is 35. Plus 2 will be 37. And I write the 37 here. At this point, you know that what we need to do now is to add these two numbers. So 6, 0, and 5 is 5. 5 and 6 is 11. So I have 1. So this will be 9. And this will be 3. Okay? So this is our big answer. Now let's go again to the decimal point. Again, the total number of decimal digits in my answer must be equal to the total number of decimal founded digits. So basically here, the analysis, this guy has 2 decimal digits, okay? And this number has 1 decimal digit. So in total, I have 3. So that means that in my answer, I must place the decimal point in the position where it shows that my answer has 3 decimal digits. So this is 1, 2, 3. So I will place the decimal point right here. 1, 5, 6 will be my 3 decimal digits that I know that they must be 3 because in my numbers, very real numbers, I have 2 decimals in the first number, 1 decimal in the other number. In total, I have 3 decimals. That's how you define where the decimal point will be located after performing the multiplication, okay? And the very last basic operation is division. So let's talk about the division. So the tip on division, the asterisk for division, can try to eliminate, okay? My point here is eliminate the decimal point. What do I mean? We will multiply by a multiple of 10 that guarantees that takes me to eliminate the decimal point. Okay, let's say that we have these same two numbers. Okay, we have 7.53 53. Let's say that I need to divide it by 5.2. Okay? So I want to eliminate the decimal point. How do I do that? If I want to eliminate the decimal point, that means that this decimal point, somehow, let's say that I need to move it 2 positions to the right. Okay? So if I move that 2 positions to the right, is as if I was taking this number and multiplying it by 100. So my result will be 753. Okay? Now, if I multiply the numerator by 100, because I need to move it 2 positions to the right, the denominator I will also have to multiply by 100. Again, not only by 10, not only moving this 1 position, I need to, for me not to affect and change the division, the fraction in this case, I need to multiply both numbers, the numerator and denominator, by the same. So if I multiply the one on top by 100, the one on bottom, I will multiply by 100, and this will be 520. Okay? Now this division, 753 divided by 520, will be exactly the same as dividing 7.53 divided by 5.2. It is exactly the same. Okay? So now we just need to perform this division. Different methods, you can do your way, or we can have just an approximation, the way I indicate in the last video when we were talking about integers. This will be your call, okay? Let's try to do it the traditional way, just for you to be clear on. We will have 753 divided by 520. So remember, how many times does 520 goes into 750? So I hope that you get to see that it's only once, right? You multiply, so I have here 520, and I need to subtract. So this will be 3, this guy will be 3, and this guy will be 2. Right? That's what we get. Now, we continue. How many times does 520 fit into 233? You cannot fit it. So remember that at this moment, when you cannot fit, is when it appears the decimal point here in the quotient in the answer, and you add a 0 to this number. Now the question is, how many times can we fit 520 into 2330? It seems that we can fit it 4 times probably. So I'm gonna put here a 4. Let's see if that is true. Remember that now we take 520 times 4. We write the answer below here. So that will be equal to 4, that will be 2080, if I'm not mistaken, 2080. And we subtract, okay? So 0, 0, that's 13 minus 8 is 5. This was a 2, and 2 minus 2 is 0. So this is the quotient, and you continue doing the same, right? You will just continue doing the same. So this answer that you have right here, 1.4, and well, you can continue doing, this is your answer, okay? Again, you don't need to do anything with the decimal point at this time. The decimal point will go there, that you divide 7.53 divided 5.2. It's exactly the same as dividing 753 divided by 520. Wherever the decimal point appears, that's it. You don't need to move it or do anything else with that guy, okay? So hope that this was a good review for you. If you feel that you need to practice a little more these basic operations with decimals, please do so. I need you to be fluent in these operations, the same as with integers. So practice and practice and practice, because remember that I need you to be ready to perform any addition, subtraction, multiplication, division with integers, decimals, or fractions, and guarantee that the first time that you do it is gonna be correct. All right? Again, any question that you may have about this specific video, email us and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. See you in your next video.